Hello, friend, and welcome back to the Dreamy Doctor, the place where science flows like a stream under starlight, and questions drift into answers, slowly, gently. Tonight, we're going to drift slowly through some truly incredible places, discovering how living things don't just exist, but actually thrive in conditions that seem impossible. We'll look at the smart ways they've learned to handle everything from searing heat to crushing cold, from endless darkness to the thinnest air. It's a journey into patience and persistence, showing us the quiet strength of nature. Before we begin our calm exploration, if you find yourself enjoying these quiet moments of discovery, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep sharing these stories, so you'll always have a soft place to return to when the world gets a little loud. So, let's settle in, let your thoughts soften, and prepare to be amazed by the subtle, yet powerful, ways life continues to find a way. Let's begin by quietly considering what we mean by extreme environments, because often our everyday understanding of extreme involve harshness or a struggle against overwhelming odds. But in the natural world, it's a little different. Here, an extreme place isn't always about struggle. It's more about specialization. Think of it as a set of very particular rules that only a select few are built to play by. For those who can, these places aren't harsh at all. They are home, perfectly suited to their unique design. Life here simply is, it just finds a different path. These environments are like quiet corners of the world, often overlooked, but humming with their own kind of subtle, persistent life. They don't shout, they whisper their stories of survival. Our journey will take us across a truly vast range of these specialized places. Imagine, for a moment, the highest peaks where the air is thin and the sun's rays are sharp, a world of rock and ice, silently reaching for the sky. Then, let your mind drift to the scorching heart of deserts, where endless dunes shift like slow-moving waves and water is a precious memory. We'll descend, slowly, into the crushing darkness of the deep ocean, where pressures are immense and light never touches, a realm of silent giants and glowing wonders. Our path will also lead us to the frozen poles, vast landscapes of white and blue, where temperatures plunge to unimaginable lows, and only the most resilient creatures dare to tread. And we won't shy away from the Earth's fiery breath, exploring the edges of volcanoes, where life finds a foothold in the warmth of hot springs and the minerals bubbling from deep below. Each of these places presents its own unique set of challenges, but also its own unique opportunities for life to weave its intricate patterns. It's a grand tapestry of terrains, each thread woven with the quiet strength of adaptation. At the very core of all this incredible resilience, whether we're talking about a microscopic bacterium in a boiling geyser or a massive whale in icy waters, lies the cell. Every living thing is built from these tiny, fundamental units. And it's here at this microscopic level that the most profound adaptations begin. Imagine a cell as a small, delicate bubble, filled with all the machinery of life, proteins, DNA, membranes. In a comfortable environment, this bubble operates smoothly. But when faced with an extreme, say, intense heat, these delicate components can begin to break down, much like a perfectly crafted clock might seize up if it gets too hot. So, for life to survive, the cell itself must be remarkably stable. It needs internal mechanisms, quiet molecular guardians, that keep its machinery running, no matter the outside conditions. This might involve special proteins that act like tiny chaperones, guiding other proteins to fold correctly even under stress. Or perhaps cell membranes that change their composition, becoming more rigid in heat or more flexible in cold, ensuring they don't rupture or become too fluid. It's a quiet, constant balancing act, an internal stability that allows the larger organism to endure. Without this fundamental cellular resilience, the grander adaptations we see in animals and plants simply wouldn't be possible. It's the silent foundation, the bedrock of all survival stories. As we slowly journey through these remarkable environments, a common thread often emerges, a challenge so fundamental, so universal, that its absence or extreme presence shapes life in profound ways. That thread is water. Water, in its simplest form, is the very canvas upon which life paints its existence. It's the solvent that allows nutrients to move, the medium for countless chemical reactions within every cell. Think of cell, that delicate bubble we spoke of earlier. Its internal environment is mostly water, a clear, life-giving fluid where everything happens. Without it, life, as we know it, simply cannot function. And yet, in so many extreme places, water is either incredibly scarce or locked away in an unusable form, like solid ice. This presents a profound paradox. Life desperately needs water. It's the elixir. But often, it's also the absence, the missing piece that forces truly astonishing adaptations. Imagine a tiny seed lying dormant in the sand, waiting for a single drop of rain, or a creature living in a place where the only water available is salt water, undrinkable for most. This constant pull between necessity and scarcity shapes every aspect of an organism's being, from its physical structure to its daily routines. It's a fundamental challenge that has driven evolution to invent countless ingenious solutions, quiet miracles of conservation and acquisition. Every sip, every drop, every molecule of water becomes a precious resource, managed with an efficiency that human engineering can only dream of. The way life interacts with water in these environments is not a grand battle, but a subtle, constant negotiation, a quiet agreement with the fundamental physics of its world. This silent conversation with water, whether too much, too little, or too cold, defines a large part of the story of surviving the extreme. Let us quietly turn our attention to one of the most iconic of these water-challenged environments, the desert. Close your eyes for a moment and gently picture it. Vast, silent expanses of sand or rock, stretching endlessly under an immense, often cloudless sky. The air can shimmer with heat during the day, and then cool dramatically, sometimes even to freezing when the sun sets. There are no crashing waves here, no bustling forests. Instead, there's a profound stillness, a sense of ancient quiet. The only sounds might be the soft whisper of wind across dunes, or the almost silent scuttle of a tiny creature. It might seem, at first glance, like a place devoid of life, a barren wasteland. But this perception is often misleading. The desert, though parched, is very much alive. Its life simply moves differently, often hidden from the direct gaze of the harsh sun. It embraces the cool shadows, the deep earth, and the precious moments when moisture finally arrives. The landscape itself speaks of immense time, sculpted by wind and the occasional, sudden torrent of water. The colors can be stunning: muted ochres, deep reds, soft grays, and the surprising green of resilient plants. This is not a dead place. It is a place of profound patience and ingenious survival. Every living thing here is a testament to the power of adaptation in the face of persistent scarcity. It's a world where every drop of moisture counts, where every shadow offers a refuge, and where the rhythm of life is slow, steady, and incredibly resourceful. The desert doesn't announce its life loudly. It hints at it, with subtle tracks in the sand, the sudden flash of a nocturnal eye, or the fleeting beauty of a wildflower after a rare rain. It is a quiet masterclass in doing more with less. So, how do living things manage to exist, let alone thrive, in these parched landscapes? The answer lies in a spectrum of truly remarkable adaptations, all centered around one core principle: water conservation. Every drop is valued. Every loss is minimized. It's a lesson in efficiency. Consider the general strategies. Many desert animals, for instance, have adopted a nocturnal lifestyle. They simply avoid the brutal heat of the day altogether. While the sun beats down, they remain in the cool, stable environment of their burrows, often meters beneath the surface. This simple behavioral change dramatically reduces water loss through evaporation. Imagine sleeping through the hottest part of the day, emerging only when the air cools and the humidity rises ever so slightly. Physiologically, these creatures are marvels of water efficiency. Their kidneys are often extraordinarily effective, able to produce highly concentrated urine. This means they excrete very little water with their waste, keeping precious fluids inside their bodies. Some desert mammals, like the tiny desert mouse, can produce urine that is 3 to 5 times more concentrated than a human's. This is a direct molecular response to the constant threat of dehydration. Beyond kidneys, other mechanisms are at play. Many desert animals have dry feces, again, minimizing water loss. Some have specialized nasal passages that recapture moisture from their exhaled breath, a tiny internal dehumidifier. Consider the very surfaces of their bodies. Some reptiles have scales that reduce evaporation from their skin. Even their breathing patterns can be adapted. Slower, shallower breaths can minimize the amount of moist air exhaled. It's a comprehensive approach, a silent symphony of biological processes working together to guard every drop. These general adaptations set the stage for even more specific, fascinating examples of desert survival, truly making these creatures masters of water conservation. Moving from the general strategies, let's turn our gaze to some specific, iconic examples of desert mastery. Perhaps no creature embodies the spirit of desert resilience quite like the camel. Often called ships of the desert, their wisdom is not in speed, but in endurance, in a quiet, methodical approach to a world of scarcity. While it's a common story that camels store water in their humps, this isn't quite right. Their humps are actually reserves of fat, but this fat plays a crucial role. When a camel metabolizes this fat for energy, water is a byproduct of the chemical reaction. This metabolic water provides a small but significant internal source of hydration, like having a tiny, slow-release spring built right into their bodies. 1 kilogram of camel fat can yield over 1 liter of water, but their adaptations go far beyond this. A camel's body temperature can fluctuate much more widely than most mammals, sometimes by as much as 6. Ring operator. C. 10.8. Ring operator. F. This means they don't start sweating to cool down until their body temperature reaches a much higher point, saving significant amounts of water. Their thick fur acts as an insulator, not just from the cold, but from the searing sun, preventing heat from reaching their skin and reducing the need to evaporate water for cooling. Their nostrils can close to keep out sand and reduce water loss from breathing. Their blood cells are uniquely oval-shaped, allowing them to absorb large amounts of water without bursting when a camel finally drinks its fill, which could be over 100 liters in just a few minutes. Even their urine and feces are incredibly concentrated, another example of their exquisite water retention. The camel isn't just surviving the desert. It is in a quiet, unhurried way, perfectly integrated into it, a testament to evolutionary refinement over millions of years. It moves with a slow, steady dignity, a living example of patience and deep biological cleverness. Now, let's shift our focus from the large, iconic camel to a much smaller, yet equally astounding desert inhabitant, the kangaroo rat. This tiny rodent, native to the deserts of North America, truly lives up to the idea of doing more with less. In fact, many species of kangaroo rat can live their entire lives without drinking a single drop of water. This remarkable feat is achieved through an incredible suite of adaptations. Firstly, like many desert creatures, they are strictly nocturnal. They spend the scorching days deep in their cool, humid burrows, emerging only after dark to forage for seeds. These seeds form the bulk of their diet. It is from these dry seeds that they extract nearly all their necessary water. This isn't water stored in the seeds themselves in liquid form. It's water produced as a byproduct when their bodies metabolize the carbohydrates and fats found in the seeds. This process, called metabolic water production, is astonishingly efficient in the kangaroo rat. For every 100 grams of dry seeds consumed, they can produce approximately 54 grams of water. Beyond this, their water conservation is exceptionally refined. Their kidneys are among the most efficient known in the animal kingdom, producing urine that is 3 to 5 times more concentrated than even a camel's, and 10 times more concentrated than humans. This is an astounding ability to extract nearly all the water from waste. Furthermore, their nasal passages are specially adapted to recapture moisture from the air they exhale. As warm, moist air leaves their lungs, it passes over cooler nasal membranes, causing water vapor to condense and be reabsorbed before it can escape. It's like a tiny built-in air conditioner and dehumidifier. They also have extremely dry feces, another way to minimize water loss. The kangaroo rat is a living testament to the power of microscopic efficiency, a small, quiet miracle of desert survival, existing almost entirely on the breath of its own metabolism. While animals have developed remarkable ways to conserve water, plants in the desert face an even more direct challenge. They cannot move to find shade or dig burrows. They must stand their ground, rooted in the parched earth, and face the sun's full intensity. And here, nature has provided some truly elegant solutions, particularly in the form of succulents. Think of the iconic cactus or the aloe vera plant. These are nature's living reservoirs, silent guardians of precious moisture. The primary adaptation of succulents is their ability to store water in specialized tissues. Their stems, leaves, or roots are often thick, fleshy, and swollen, designed specifically to hold large volumes of water. If you were to gently cut into a cactus, you would find a spongy, water-filled interior. This stored water acts as a buffer against long periods of drought, allowing the plant to survive when no rain falls for months or even years. For example, some large barrel cacti can store hundreds of liters of water. Beyond simply storing water, succulents employ several other clever strategies. Many have a thick, waxy cuticle on their surface, a protective layer that dramatically reduces water loss through evaporation from their leaves or stems. Imagine a natural waterproof coating. Their leaves are often reduced to spines, as in cacti, or are very small, minimizing the surface area for which water can evaporate. These spines also offer protection from animals that might try to get to their stored water. Additionally, many succulents use a specialized form of photosynthesis called crassulation acid metabolism, or CM. Most plants open tiny pores on their leaves, called stomata, during the day to take in carbon dioxide. But this also allows water to escape. Cam plants, however, do the opposite. They open their stomata only at night, when temperatures are cooler and humidity is higher, collecting carbon dioxide, which they then store. During the day, they close their stomata and use the stored carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, thereby minimizing water loss during the hottest part of the day. This silent, nocturnal breathing is a subtle yet profound adaptation, a plant's quiet wisdom in the face of the sun. The desert, for all its parched stillness, holds a secret beauty, a profound promise of temporary abundance. This is seen in its ephemeral blooms, the sudden, breathtaking explosion of wildflowers that transforms the landscape after a rare and generous rain. For most of the year, the seeds of these plants lie dormant, buried in the dry soil, waiting. They're not waiting for just any rain, but for a very specific combination of conditions, enough moisture at the right temperature that signals a truly viable opportunity for growth. When these conditions finally arrive, perhaps after a substantial winter rain, the desert floor, seemingly barren just days before, can burst into a riot of color. Millions upon millions of tiny seeds, some of which may have lain dormant for decades, suddenly awaken. Their life cycle is incredibly rapid, a frantic race against the inevitable return of drought. They sprout, grow, flower, and produce new seeds, all within a matter of weeks, sometimes even days. This quick life cycle is a brilliant adaptation. It allows them to capitalize on fleeting resources to complete their entire reproductive process before the harsh sun and dry winds reclaim the landscape. The flowers themselves are often vibrant and abundant, designed to attract pollinators quickly, ensuring the continuation of their lineage. After they produce their new seeds, these plants wither and die, leaving the next generation of potential blooms tucked away in the soil, ready for the next uncertain rain. It's a powerful lesson in timing and seizing opportunity. This phenomenon is a stark reminder that even in the most seemingly desolate places, life holds an incredible capacity for patience, for waiting for the perfect moment, and for celebrating that moment with an explosion of quiet, temporary beauty. The desert's brief embrace of these blooms is a deeply moving spectacle, a quiet cheer for the persistent spirit of life. From the searing heat and parched earth of the desert, let us now drift, slowly, into a profoundly different kind of extreme. The frozen silence of the polar regions and other intensely cold environments. Imagine a world sculpted by ice and snow, vast, gleaming landscapes that stretch to the horizon in shades of white and blue. The air here can bite with a stillness that feels ancient, a profound quiet broken only by the creak of glaciers or the subtle crunch of snow underfoot. In these places, the challenge is not the absence of water, but its unyielding presence in a solid, frozen form. Liquid water, so vital for life's processes, is often locked away in ice crystals, making it as unavailable as in the driest desert. Temperatures plunge far below freezing for extended periods, sometimes reaching lows of -50. Ring operator, C, -58. Ring operator, F, or even colder. This intense cold can damage cells in multiple ways, from freezing the water inside them, which forms sharp ice crystals that pierce cell membranes, to slowing down chemical reactions to a crawl, essentially halting life itself. Yet, even in these seemingly barren, frigid realms, life finds a way. It thrives, not just survives. Organisms here have developed an astonishing array of adaptations to manage heat loss, prevent freezing, and continue their life processes in a world that constantly tries to turn them into solid ice. It's a testament to life's incredible ability to adapt to energy scarcity and the physical challenges of extreme cold. The landscape here speaks of immense power and serene beauty, a quiet, frozen world that hums with its own unique, resilient forms of life. One of the most elegant and microscopic solutions to the problem of freezing is found at the cellular level, in what scientists call antifreeze proteins. Imagine these proteins as tiny molecular shields, invisible protectors circulating within an organism's blood and cells. Their job is not to prevent freezing entirely, but to control it, or rather, to prevent the formation of large, damaging ice crystals. When water freezes, it typically forms sharp, needle-like ice crystals. These crystals can pierce cell membranes, destroy cellular structures, and ultimately lead to cell death. Antifreeze proteins, however, work by binding to the tiny, initial ice crystals that start to form in the body fluids. By binding to these nascent crystals, they prevent them from growing larger and more destructive. Think of it like putting very tiny, rough pebbles on a smooth, growing snowflake. It disrupts the crystal's ability to expand into a sharp, damaging shape. These remarkable proteins are found in a variety of cold-dwelling organisms, From fish living in the sub-zero waters of the Arctic and Antarctic to insects that spend winter frozen solid, and even some plants that endure icy conditions. For example, some Antarctic fish like the nototheniioids produce high concentrations of these specific glycoproteins. Without them, their blood would freeze solid at temperatures that are normal for their environment. It's a precise molecular dance, a biological innovation that allows life to exist in liquid form even when the surrounding environment is well below the freezing point of pure water. These proteins represent a quiet, internal defense, a sophisticated molecular guardian against the destructive power of ice. Moving from the microscopic to the majestic, let's consider a truly iconic resident of the frozen north, the polar bear. This magnificent creature is a master of living in extreme cold, essentially wearing a perfectly engineered cloak of insulation. Their adaptations are a powerful example of how large mammals can thrive where temperatures rarely rise above freezing. Firstly, their thick fur is extraordinary. It's not just dense, it's designed with an outer layer of long, guard hairs that are hollow, trapping a layer of insulating air close to their body. Below this is a dense undercoat. This dual-layer system provides incredible thermal protection, effectively creating a warm microclimate around their skin. You could almost say their fur is like a high-tech winter coat that never needs to be taken off. In fact, a polar bear can overheat in temperatures above 10. Ring operator, C50. Ring operator, F, due to this superb insulation. But their adaptations go deeper than just fur. Beneath that thick coat lies a substantial layer of blubber, a thick layer of fat, up to 11 centimeters, 4.3 inches thick, which provides both insulation and an energy reserve during times when food is scarce. This blubber acts like a living wetsuit, keeping their core warm even when submerged in icy waters. Furthermore, polar bears employ a clever physiological trick called countercurrent heat exchange in their paws and limbs. Arteries carrying warm blood to their extremities run right alongside veins carrying cold blood back to the heart. As the warm arterial blood flows past the cooler venous blood, heat is transferred, warming the venous blood and cooling the arterial blood before it reaches the paws. This minimizes heat loss from their extremities, allowing them to walk on ice without freezing their feet, while also preventing their core body temperature from dropping. The polar bear is a living marvel of thermal engineering, a quiet, powerful symbol of life's ability to conquer the cold. From the Arctic, our quiet journey now takes us to the other end of the Earth, the breathtaking, icy expanse of the Antarctic. Here, in this pristine, frozen realm, another iconic bird reigns supreme, the penguin. These charming, flightless birds are true masters of survival in one of the planet's most unforgiving environments. They face not only extreme cold, but also the challenge of spending much of their lives in frigid ocean waters. Yet, they navigate this world with an almost formal elegance, like gentlemen in frost's embrace. Their primary defense against the cold is their dense plumage. A penguin's feathers are not just numerous. They're incredibly short, stiff, and tightly overlapping, forming a waterproof, windproof, and highly insulating outer layer. Beneath this, they have a thick layer of down feathers that traps air, creating an exceptional barrier against heat loss. Think of it as a natural, perfectly sealed dry suit. This feather arrangement is so effective that their skin temperature can be several degrees warmer than the surrounding air. They also have a specialized preen gland that produces oil, which they spread over their feathers to enhance their waterproofing properties. This keeps the icy water from reaching their skin when they swim, vital for staying warm. Beyond their feathers, penguins employ clever behavioral adaptations. Perhaps the most famous is their huddling behavior. During the harshest blizzards, thousands of penguins will gather together in a tight, constantly shifting mass. Individuals on the outer edges endure the brunt of the wind and cold, but they slowly rotate inwards, allowing others to take their turn on the periphery. This collective warming strategy dramatically reduces heat loss for the entire group. Physiologically, they also use countercurrent heat exchange in their legs and flippers, similar to polar bears, to minimize heat loss from these exposed areas. Their ability to regulate blood flow to their extremities is finely tuned, ensuring their feet stay just warm enough to prevent freezing, but not so warm that too much heat escapes their body. The penguin's quiet resilience is a beautiful dance between individual biological prowess and the strength of communal effort. While many creatures adapt to stay in the cold, some choose a different, equally remarkable path of resilience. They simply avoid the harshest extremes by embarking on the longest journeys known in the animal kingdom. Consider the Arctic tern. This seemingly delicate seabird is, in fact, an absolute marvel of endurance, a silent voyager traversing the globe. It undertakes the longest migratory journey of any animal, covering approximately 70,000 to 80,000 kilometers, around 43,000 to 50,000 miles, each year. Imagine this, breeding in the Arctic during the Northern Hemisphere's summer, and then, as autumn begins to paint the northern landscapes with colder hues, they set off. The destination? The Antarctic, to enjoy the Southern Hemisphere's summer. And then they return. This means an Arctic tern experiences 2 summers each year, literally chasing the sun and avoiding the depths of winter at both poles. It's a continuous pursuit of moderate temperatures and abundant food resources, an ultimate adaptation to the seasonal extremes of our planet. This immense journey demands incredible physiological adaptations. They must be incredibly efficient flyers, able to conserve energy over vast distances of open ocean. Their streamlined bodies, long wings, and efficient foraging techniques allow them to sustain themselves throughout the migration. They are also masters of navigation, using the Earth's magnetic field, the position of the sun, and perhaps even smells to find their way across featureless oceans. The life of an Arctic tern is a testament to the power of movement as a survival strategy, a quiet, relentless pursuit of optimal conditions across the entire globe. They don't fight the extreme cold directly. They simply glide away from it, a continuous, circular journey of quiet resilience. While we often focus on the larger, more visible creatures of the polar regions, it's vital to remember that life in these frozen worlds is built upon a foundation of much smaller, often unseen organisms. One of the most critical of these are the ice algae. These microscopic plants are the quiet architects of life within the ice itself, forming the very base of the food web in many polar ecosystems. Imagine tiny, single-celled algae living not in open water, but within or underneath the sea ice. They often form vibrant brown or green layers on the underside of ice floes. How do they survive when sunlight, which they need for photosynthesis, is limited by the thick ice above? And how do they avoid freezing solid? These are fascinating challenges. Ice algae have several adaptations. Firstly, they can photosynthesize even in very low light conditions, using the diffused light that filters through the ice. They also produce natural cryoprotectants, compounds that act like internal antifreezes, preventing ice crystals from forming inside their cells. Furthermore, they thrive in the brine channels that exist within the sea ice, tiny pockets of super salty water that remain liquid even at temperatures below zero. Ring operator C. 32. Ring operator F. These channels provide a stable, if challenging, microenvironment for them. As spring arrives and sunlight increases, these algae flourish, providing a critical food source for small crustaceans, like krill, that graze on the underside of the ice. In turn, these krill become food for fish, seals, and whales. So while often overlooked, these tiny ice algae are the quiet powerhouse of the polar seas. They demonstrate that even in the most seemingly inhospitable environments, where solid ice dominates the landscape, life can find a foothold, perform its vital functions, and underpin an entire ecosystem. They are a silent, microscopic engine of resilience in the frozen silence. From the light-filled, if frozen, surfaces of our planet, let us now descend, slowly, into one of Earth's most mysterious and truly extreme environments, the deep ocean. Imagine falling gently through miles of water, as the last faint glimmer of sunlight fades into an eternal twilight, and then absolute, profound darkness. Here, light is not merely scarce. It is entirely absent, save for the occasional, fleeting flash of a living thing. The air we breathe, the warmth we know, are utterly gone. The most defining characteristic of this world is the immense, unimaginable pressure. For every 10 meters, about 33 feet, you descend into the ocean, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere. In the deepest trenches, like the Mariana Trench, pressures can reach over 1,000 atmospheres, meaning over 15,000 pounds per square inch. This is like having dozens of fully grown elephants standing on a postage stamp. Such colossal pressure would crush most surface organisms instantly, collapsing air-filled cavities and deforming delicate cell structures. Yet, life not only exists here, it flourishes in an astonishing array of forms. These creatures live out their entire lives in perpetual twilight or absolute darkness, under the weight of an entire ocean. It's a quiet, cold, and immensely powerful realm, a place where the usual rules of life seem to bend and reform. Here, organisms have learned to cope with and even utilize the forces that would obliterate us, finding light where none exists and resisting pressures that defy imagination. The deep blue's embrace is not one of gentle comfort for us, but for its inhabitants, it is a perfectly adapted home, a world of silent, slow-motion survival. So, how do living things withstand the crushing weight of the deep ocean? The organisms that thrive in these high-pressure environments are known as barophiles, which literally means pressure lovers. Their adaptations are primarily at the fundamental cellular level, focusing on protecting the very machinery of life from being squeezed out of function. The main challenge pressure poses to cells is its effect on proteins and cell membranes. Proteins, which perform almost all functions within a cell, need to maintain a very specific three-dimensional shape to work correctly. High pressure can distort these shapes, causing proteins to unfold and lose their function. Similarly, cell membranes, which form the outer boundary of a cell and control what goes in and out, can become too rigid or even rupture under extreme pressure. Barophiles have developed several clever solutions. Many deep-sea organisms produce specialized organic molecules called piezolites, such as TMAO trimethylamine N-oxide. These molecules act as chemical chaperones, helping proteins maintain their correct structure and function even under thousands of atmospheres of pressure. They subtly interact with the water and protein molecules to counteract the pressure's distorting effects. Think of them as tiny internal stabilizers. Their cell membranes also show remarkable adaptations. They often have a higher proportion of unsaturated fatty acids, which prevent the membrane from becoming too stiff under pressure, allowing it to remain fluid and functional. Some deep-sea bacteria even incorporate unique lipids into their membranes that are specifically designed for high-pressure stability. These aren't dramatic, visible adaptations. Instead, they're subtle, molecular adjustments built into the very fabric of their cells. This quiet molecular ingenuity allows barophiles to navigate a world that would flatten any other form of life, enduring immense weight with an unseen, yet profound, resilience. In the eternal darkness of the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches, life has found an astonishing way to create its own light. This phenomenon is called bioluminescence, the production of light by living organisms through chemical reactions. It's a gentle glow in a world of silent blackness, a truly magical adaptation. Many, perhaps even most, creatures in the deep sea are bioluminescent. This light isn't just for show. It serves a crucial purpose in a world without sun. It can be used for various vital functions, such as attracting mates. Imagine a subtle, coded flash in the vast darkness, a silent signal across the void. It also helps in luring prey. Some deep-sea fish, like the anglerfish, have a bioluminescent lure dangling in front of their mouths, acting as a beacon to unsuspecting victims in the pitch black. Beyond attracting and luring, bioluminescence is also used for defense. Some organisms emit a sudden, bright flash to startle predators, giving them a chance to escape. Others release a cloud of glowing fluid, like an underwater smoke screen, to confuse an attacker. This light is generated by a chemical reaction involving a molecule called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. The specific colors and patterns of light vary widely, creating a diverse and captivating display in the dark abyss. Unlike artificial light, which often produces heat, bioluminescence is a cold light, meaning very little energy is wasted as heat. This makes it an incredibly efficient process. The deep ocean, far from being a desolate void, is actually filled with these quiet, ethereal lights, blinking, flashing, and shimmering in the unseen currents. It's a testament to life's ability to conjure light from darkness, painting its own vibrant, if hidden, tapestry of survival. In the profound darkness of the deep ocean, where photosynthesis, the lifeblood of most ecosystems, is impossible due to the absence of sunlight, life has discovered an entirely different way to harness energy. This remarkable process is called chemosynthesis. For centuries, we believed that all life on Earth ultimately depended on the sun. Then, in the late 1970s, a revolutionary discovery changed everything. Scientists exploring the deep sea floor found thriving communities of organisms clustered around volcanic cracks in the Earth's crust, called hydrothermal vents. These vents spew out superheated water rich in chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, methane, and various metal sulfides. Instead of using sunlight to convert carbon dioxide into organic matter, as plants do, organisms at these vents use the energy from these chemical reactions. It's like a quiet, internal alchemy, a process of transforming inorganic chemicals into the building blocks of life. For example, specialized bacteria at these vents oxidize hydrogen sulfide, releasing energy that they then use to fix carbon and create organic compounds. These chemosynthetic bacteria form the very base of the food web in these unique ecosystems. They're the primary producers, playing the role that plants and algae play in sunlit environments. This discovery fundamentally expanded our understanding of where and how life can exist, proving that sunlight isn't the only energy source capable of sustaining complex biological communities. It opened up the possibility that similar life might exist on other planets or moons where light is absent but chemical energy is available. These deep-sea oases of life are a testament to the diverse, ingenious ways life finds to power itself, a silent, chemical hum in the Earth's darkest depths. Among the most iconic and visually striking inhabitants of these chemosynthetic ecosystems are the giant tube worms, specifically a species known as Riftia pachyptala. These incredible creatures are like silent, majestic pillars rising from the seafloor, sometimes growing over 2 meters, about 6.5 feet, tall. They are truly architects of the vent communities, shaping the very landscape with their presence. What makes these worms so extraordinary is their unique relationship with the chemosynthetic bacteria. Riftia tube worms have no mouth, no digestive system, and no anus as adults. How do they get their nutrients? They have a specialized organ called a trophosome, which is packed with billions of symbiotic bacteria. These bacteria live inside the worm's body and perform the chemosynthesis, using the hydrogen sulfide from the vents. In return, the bacteria provide the worm with all the organic nutrients it needs. It's a perfect, silent partnership, a deep biological trust. The worm's brilliant red plumes, which it extends into the surrounding water, are rich in blood vessels and contain a specialized hemoglobin. This hemoglobin is incredibly efficient at binding both oxygen and hydrogen sulfide, transporting these chemicals to the bacteria within the trophosome. The white, tough tube that encloses the worm provides protection from the harsh environment and predators. These tube worms embody the very essence of living at the extreme, not only tolerating the toxic chemicals and crushing pressures, but actively thriving on them, thanks to their remarkable internal collaboration. They are living, breathing monuments to life's ability to find and flourish in the most unexpected of places, a quiet, vibrant presence in the deep. Our descent into the deep culminates in the ultimate extreme of the marine world, the Mariana Trench. Located in the western Pacific Ocean, this is the deepest known oceanic trench on Earth, a truly immense scar on the planet's surface. At its deepest point, Challenger Deep, the ocean floor plunges to approximately 11,000 meters, about 36,070 feet below the surface. To put that into perspective, if Mount Everest were placed at the bottom of the trench, its peak would still be over 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles, beneath the surface of the water. Here, the pressure is truly staggering, over 1,000 times the atmospheric pressure at sea level. The temperature is just above freezing, around 1-4. Ring operator, C, 34-39. Ring operator, F, sunlight is an ancient memory, and food is incredibly scarce, raining down only as marine snow, dead organic matter slowly drifting from the surface waters. Yet, even in this unimaginably hostile environment, life persists. Scientists have discovered a surprising diversity of organisms living at these extreme depths. These include various species of amphipods, small crustaceans that scavenge on organic matter, bizarre, translucent snailfish, and a fascinating array of microbes. Each of these organisms carries the deep-sea adaptations we discussed to their absolute extreme, their cells and proteins finely tuned to resist the immense forces. The existence of life in the Mariana Trench pushes the boundaries of what we thought was possible, challenging our definitions of habitability. It is a place of profound silence and immense power, holding some of Earth's deepest secrets. The life that thrives here is a quiet testament to the sheer, uncompromising tenacity of biological existence, a constant whisper that life, truly, always finds a way. Having explored the depths of the ocean and the silence of ice, let us now turn our attention to an environment shaped by the Earth's inner fire, a world of intense heat and bubbling chemistry. We're talking about areas influenced by volcanic activity, hot springs, geysers, fumaroles, and the immediate surroundings of volcanoes themselves. These places might seem utterly inhospitable, realms of molten rock, boiling water, and often highly acidic gases. Here, the challenge is primarily extreme temperature. Water can exist as superheated liquid, far above its normal boiling point at sea level, or as steam. The ground could be scorching, and the air filled with corrosive vapors. Most life as we know it would simply be cooked or denatured, its delicate proteins unraveling, its cell membranes dissolving. Imagine walking near a pool of water that is 90. Ring operator, C, 194. Ring operator, F, or breathing air infused with sulfur. Yet, these fiery cradles of the Earth are not barren. In fact, many scientists believe that conditions similar to these hot, chemically rich environments might have been where life first emerged on Earth billions of years ago. So, in a way, these extreme hotspots offer a glimpse into life's ancient origins. Organisms thriving here have found ways to not just tolerate, but often even require immense heat for their survival. It's a world where the very elements that seem destructive become the source of energy and the foundation for life's unique architecture. The volcanic vigor is a powerful, yet in this context, a quietly humming testament to life's ability to embrace the furnace. The organisms that thrive in these intensely hot environments are known as thermophiles, meaning heat lovers. They can be found in boiling hot springs, deep-sea hydrothermal vents, and even in hot compost piles. Some remarkable species, called hyperthermophiles, can grow at temperatures exceeding 80. Ring operator, C, 176. Ring operator, F, with a few even surviving above the boiling point of water at 100. Ring operator, C, 212. Ring operator, F, or even higher under pressure. The current record holder is strain 121, a microbe discovered near a hydrothermal vent, which can grow at 121. Ring operator, C, 250. Ring operator, F. The key to their survival lies in the remarkable stability of their internal cellular components. Most proteins and enzymes, which are vital for all biological processes, typically denature or break down at high temperatures. Imagine an egg white turning solid when cooked. That's protein denaturation. Thermophiles, however, have evolved highly heat-stable enzymes and proteins. These proteins have slightly different structures, often with more robust bonds or compact folds that allow them to maintain their functional shape even when exposed to extreme heat. For example, the enzyme Taq polymerase, used extensively in PCR polymerase chain reaction in molecular biology, was isolated from Thermus aquaticus, a bacterium found in hot springs. It functions perfectly at high temperatures where most enzymes would be destroyed. Their cell membranes are also specially adapted. Many thermophiles, particularly archaea, have unique lipid compositions in their membranes that prevent them from becoming too fluid or leaky at high temperatures. They might have stronger bonds within their membrane lipids, or even lipids that form a single, continuous layer rather than the typical double layer, providing extra stability. These internal adaptations allow them to keep their cellular machinery running smoothly, even as the water around them boils. Thermophiles are a quiet marvel of biochemical engineering, demonstrating that life doesn't just tolerate the heat, but actively embraces it as its preferred mode of existence. Before we leave the realm of temperature extremes, we must pause to consider a creature that defies almost all logic, a microscopic marvel often called the tardigrade, or more affectionately, the water bear. These tiny, 8-legged invertebrates, usually less than a millimeter long, are arguably the most resilient animals known to science. They are not specifically adapted to just heat or just cold. They are adapted to virtually every extreme, sometimes earning them the nickname unkillable. Tardigrades can survive temperatures as low as minus 272. Ring operator, C, just 1 degree above absolute zero, or minus 458. Ring operator, F, and as high as 150. Ring operator, C, 302. Ring operator, F. They can withstand pressures 6 times greater than those found in the deepest ocean trenches. They can endure doses of radiation that would be lethal to humans by hundreds of times. They can even survive the vacuum of outer space. Their secret lies in a remarkable state called anhydrobiosis, literally life without water. When faced with extreme dehydration, a tardigrade can retract its legs, curl into a tiny, barrel-shaped form called a ton, and effectively shut down its metabolism to less than 0.01% of its normal rate. During this process, their cells produce specialized sugars, particularly trehalose, which replace water within the cells, protecting the cellular machinery from damage. These sugars form a kind of glassy matrix that vitrifies or turns into a glass-like solid, preserving their delicate proteins and DNA until conditions become favorable again. When water returns, they can rehydrate, sometimes within minutes, and resume their normal activities as if nothing happened. This ability to enter a state of suspended animation and survive extremes that would obliterate other life forms makes the tardigrade a true biological marvel. It's a quiet, tiny testament to the absolute tenacity of life, a profound whisper that even the smallest creatures can hold the greatest secrets of endurance. The water bear doesn't merely survive, it waits patiently for its moment. Having explored worlds of temperature extremes and immense pressure, let's now consider environments defined by their unique chemistry. Specifically, those where the very water itself is highly corrosive. We're talking about acidic realms, places like volcanic hot springs with high sulfur content, or even certain mine drainages, where the pH levels are astonishingly low. To understand this, think of pH, a scale that measures how acidic or alkaline a substance is. A neutral substance, like pure water, has a pH of 7. Anything below 7 is acidic, and anything above 7 is alkaline. The lower the number, the more acidic a substance is. For example, lemon juice is around pH 2, and battery acid can be less than pH 1. The internal environment of most living cells is maintained at a very narrow, near-neutral pH, typically around 7.2 to 7.4. Just a small deviation can cause proteins to denature and essential biological processes to halt. Imagine trying to live in a pool of vinegar, or even worse, something far more corrosive. Yet, in these places where the water is truly like a gentle burn to anything unadapted, life not only exists but thrives. The challenge here is to maintain that crucial internal pH balance, while the external environment is wildly different. It's a quiet battle against chemical disarray, a constant effort to keep the internal cellular machinery from dissolving or losing its function. These environments, though chemically challenging, are often visually striking, with vibrant colors from mineral deposits and the microbial mats that thrive there. They whisper of a different kind of chemical dance, one where life has learned to embrace the most unlikely of solvents. The organisms that call these extreme pH environments home are quite remarkable. Those that love acidic conditions are called acidophiles, and those that thrive in highly alkaline environments are known as alkalophiles. Their very existence is a testament to life's profound ability to perfect its internal chemical balance. For acidophiles, found in places like sulfuric acid hot springs, which can have a pH of 0 or 1, strong enough to dissolve metal. The challenge is to prevent their internal cell contents from becoming acidic. They often achieve this by actively pumping out hydrogen ions, H+, which are responsible for acidity. Think of it like a tiny, tireless pump, constantly working to keep the inside of the cell neutral. Their cell membranes are also often uniquely structured to be less permeable to these hydrogen ions, acting as a stronger barrier. Furthermore, their proteins and enzymes are designed to function optimally at low external pH, but critically, they must maintain a neutral internal pH. They do this by having very robust protein structures that are less susceptible to denaturation by acid, or by having specialized chaperones that help keep them folded correctly. Conversely, alkalophiles, found in environments like soda lakes, with pH values of 10 or 11, like baking soda or even stronger, face the opposite problem. They must prevent their internal environment from becoming too alkaline. They often achieve this by actively pumping hydrogen ions into the cell, or by utilizing sodium ion gradients to power their cellular processes, which helps to counteract the extreme alkalinity outside. Their enzymes are also adapted to function at these high pH levels, often having different surface charges or amino acid compositions that allow them to remain stable and active. These microbes, often bacteria and archaea, showcase an incredible biochemical finesse. They demonstrate that life's core processes are so adaptable that they can perform their intricate dance even when the surrounding world is wildly out of balance with what we consider normal. It's a quiet, constant chemical negotiation, a beautiful example of how life maintains its integrity in the face of profound external challenges. From the realms of acid and alkali, let us now glide into another chemically challenging environment, one defined by its overwhelming concentration of salt. We are venturing into the salted earth, places like hypersaline lakes, salt flats, and evaporation ponds. Imagine vast, glittering landscapes, often blindingly white or strangely pink, where the very ground crunches underfoot with crystallized minerals. In these environments, the primary challenge is high salinity. While a little salt is essential for life, too much salt becomes deeply problematic. The physics of water dictates that water tends to move from an area of lower solute concentration to an area of higher solute concentration, a process called osmosis. In a highly salty environment, water within the cells of an organism is constantly drawn outwards into the more concentrated external solution. This leads to severe dehydration, literally drawing the water out of living cells, causing them to shrivel and cease functioning. It's like trying to survive in a sea that constantly tries to pull the life-giving fluids right out of you. For most organisms, this osmotic stress is lethal. The visual beauty of these landscapes, often shimmering with crystalline formations and sometimes colored by the very life that thrives there, belies the immense osmotic challenge. The air might feel dry, and the silence is often profound, broken only by the gentle whisper of wind across the vast, flat expanse. Yet, here too, life has found a way to not only persist, but to flourish, demonstrating an astonishing mastery over water balance in conditions that would cause most other living things to simply give up. This silent grip of the brine, though seemingly overwhelming, has merely spurred life to even greater heights of quiet, physiological ingenuity. In the face of the immense osmotic stress presented by hypersaline environments, life has developed an extraordinary set of adaptations. The organisms that thrive in these incredibly salty conditions are known as halophiles, meaning salt lovers. They can be found in places like the Dead Sea, Utah's Great Salt Lake, and countless salt evaporation ponds around the world, often coloring these waters in vibrant shades of pink, red, or orange due to their sheer abundance. Halophiles have evolved two main strategies to cope with the outward pull of water. The first strategy is to accumulate compatible solutes within their cells. These are small organic molecules, such as glycine betaine or ectoin, which they synthesize or import from their environment. These compatible solutes do not interfere with cellular functions, but they raise the internal solute concentration of the cell to match or even exceed the external salt concentration. This balances the osmotic pressure, preventing water from leaving the cell. It's like filling a balloon with enough tiny, harmless pebbles so that water doesn't try to rush out through its walls. The second strategy, employed by some of the most extreme halophiles, often a group of ancient microorganisms called Halorchia, is to maintain a high internal salt concentration, primarily potassium chloride, that is roughly equal to the external sodium chloride concentration. This means their internal machinery, their enzymes and proteins, must be specially adapted to function in extremely high salt environments. For most organisms, such high salt levels would cause proteins to denature and precipitate. But Halorchia have proteins with unique surface charges and amino acid compositions that allow them to remain soluble and functional in a literal sea of salt. For instance, their ribosomes, the protein-making factories within cells, are designed to work optimally in these saline conditions. These halophiles are a quiet testament to life's biochemical versatility. They demonstrate that the very element that is toxic to most can become the essential medium for others, a vibrant, living presence in a world dominated by the silent, powerful grip of brine. From the salted seas, let us gently shift our focus back to the land, to a desert so extreme in its aridity that it pushes the boundaries of our understanding of life. This is the Atacama Desert, stretching along the Pacific coast of South America, primarily in Chile. It is often considered the driest, non-polar desert on Earth, a place where rain can be a memory stretching back decades, or even centuries. Some areas of the Atacama have gone without significant rainfall for over 400 years. Imagine a landscape so parched it resembles the surface of Mars. Indeed, it's often used by space agencies to test instruments for extraterrestrial life detection due to its extreme conditions. The challenge here is the near total absence of liquid water in the soil, combined with high UV radiation and extreme daily temperature fluctuations. Most life struggles to find even a fleeting foothold, and yet life persists. The survival here is largely microbially driven. Scientists have found specialized bacteria and archaea living within the very rocks, in tiny pockets where trace amounts of moisture might accumulate. Some of these microbes are endolithic, meaning they live inside rocks, protected from the harsh UV radiation and desiccation. They might utilize the infrequent fog that rolls in from the Pacific Ocean or tiny amounts of moisture trapped deep within mineral structures. Certain plants, like some cacti, have also developed unique strategies, drawing moisture from the rare fogs that condense on their spines. The Atacama is a powerful example of the very limits of terrestrial habitability. It is a quiet, ancient landscape, seemingly lifeless, yet humming with the unseen resilience of extremophilic microbes. It teaches us that even in the most profoundly dry embrace, life can find its subtle, persistent way. Our journey now takes us upwards, slowly ascending to the planet's majestic heights, to the high altitudes of towering mountain ranges. Imagine the vast, silent expanse of peaks piercing the clouds, a world of breathtaking views and equally breathtaking challenges. Here, the primary extreme is not temperature in the same way as the poles, nor is it water scarcity in the same way as the desert, though both can be factors. The dominant challenge at high altitudes is the thinness of the air, specifically the reduced availability of oxygen. As you climb higher, the atmosphere pressure drops. This doesn't mean the percentage of oxygen in the air changes. It remains roughly 21%. However, because the air is less dense, there are fewer oxygen molecules in each breath you take. This means less oxygen is available to diffuse into the bloodstream and fuel the body's cells. This condition is known as hypoxia or low oxygen. For most creatures, including humans, prolonged exposure to significant hypoxia leads to fatigue, nausea, confusion, and eventually life-threatening organ failure. Beyond hypoxia, high altitudes also present challenges like intense ultraviolet, UV, radiation, due to less atmosphere to filter it, and extreme temperature fluctuations between day and night. Yet mountain ecosystems are surprisingly vibrant. Organisms living here have evolved remarkable ways to capture and utilize every precious molecule of oxygen, to shield themselves from radiation, and to manage the dramatic shifts in temperature. It's a world where every breath is a victory, a quiet testament to life's ingenuity in the face of a thin, yet profound atmospheric challenge. Let's gently consider the core problem of high altitudes: hypoxia, the scarcity of oxygen. For most living things, oxygen is the vital fuel for cellular respiration, the process that generates energy for all life functions. When oxygen is scarce, this energy production slows, leading to cellular stress and eventual failure. Yet mountain dwellers have found profound ways to breathe life into this thin air. The adaptations to hypoxia often revolve around maximizing oxygen uptake and delivery, and making the most efficient use of what little oxygen is available. Many high-altitude animals, for example, have larger lungs compared to their sea-level counterparts. This provides a greater surface area for oxygen to diffuse into the blood. Their breathing rates might also be faster or deeper, a more vigorous, though still quiet, effort to pull in every available molecule of oxygen. But the most critical adaptations often lie within their blood itself. High-altitude animals frequently have a higher concentration of hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen. More hemoglobin means more oxygen-carrying capacity per unit of blood. Furthermore, their hemoglobin often has a different chemical structure, exhibiting a higher affinity for oxygen. This means it can grab oxygen more effectively from the thin air in the lungs and hold on to it more tightly. even when oxygen partial pressure is low. For instance, llamas and other camelids of the Andes have a form of hemoglobin that is incredibly efficient at binding oxygen, allowing them to thrive at elevations where many other mammals would struggle. Beyond this, some high-altitude species also exhibit a slower metabolic rate, a quiet, energy-saving mode that simply requires less oxygen to sustain basic life processes. This combination of increased uptake, efficient transport, and reduced demand allows life to persist and even flourish, where the air itself presents a constant, profound challenge. It's a delicate, yet powerful, biological dance with the atmosphere. To see these high-altitude adaptations in action, let's consider the majestic yak, a true icon of the Himalayan and Tibetan plateaus. These powerful bovines live at elevations often exceeding 4,000 meters, around 13,000 feet, and sometimes as high as 6,000 meters, nearly 20,000 feet, where the air contains less than half the oxygen available at sea level. The yak is a living embodiment of mastering the heights. Their respiratory and circulatory systems are finely tuned for low oxygen environments. Like many high-altitude mammals, yaks have larger lungs and hearts relative to their body size compared to their lowland relatives. This increased capacity allows them to take in and process more of the scarce oxygen with each breath and pump oxygenated blood more efficiently throughout their bodies. More importantly, the yak's blood is uniquely adapted. They have a higher concentration of red blood cells than lowland cattle, meaning more vehicles are available to transport oxygen. Each of these red blood cells is also packed with a special type of hemoglobin that has a very strong affinity for oxygen. This allows their blood to pick up oxygen efficiently from the thin air in their lungs, even when the oxygen pressure is extremely low. It's like having a more powerful magnet for oxygen molecules. Their physiology also includes a higher capillary density in their tissues, meaning more tiny blood vessels reach every cell, facilitating the efficient delivery of oxygen directly where it's needed. Furthermore, their thick, shaggy coats provide excellent insulation against the intense cold and wind at high altitudes. The yak moves with a slow, deliberate strength across the rugged mountain terrain, a quiet, powerful symbol of life's successful negotiation with the thin veil of air. They don't struggle. They simply are perfectly designed for their elevated world. To see these high-altitude adaptations in action, let's consider the majestic yak, a true icon of the Himalayan and Tibetan plateaus. These powerful bovines live at elevations often exceeding 4,000 meters, around 13,000 feet, and sometimes as high as 6,000 meters, nearly 20,000 feet, where the air contains less than half the oxygen available at sea level. The yak is a living embodiment of mastering the heights. Their respiratory and circulatory systems are finely tuned for low oxygen environments. Like many high-altitude mammals, yaks have larger lungs and hearts relative to their body size compared to their lowland relatives. This increased capacity allows them to take in and process more of the scarce oxygen with each breath and pump oxygenated blood more efficiently throughout their bodies. More importantly, the yak's blood is uniquely adapted. They have a higher concentration of red blood cells than lowland cattle, meaning more vehicles are available to transport oxygen. Each of these red blood cells is also packed with a special type of hemoglobin that has a very strong affinity for oxygen. This allows their blood to pick up oxygen efficiently from the thin air in their lungs, even when the oxygen pressure is extremely low. It's like having a more powerful magnet for oxygen molecules. Their physiology also includes a higher capillary density in their tissues, meaning more tiny blood vessels reach every cell, facilitating the efficient delivery of oxygen directly where it's needed. Furthermore, their thick, shaggy coats provide excellent insulation against the intense cold and wind at high altitudes. The yak moves with a slow, deliberate strength across the rugged mountain terrain, a quiet, powerful symbol of life's successful negotiation with the thin veil of air. They don't struggle. They simply are perfectly designed for their elevated world. While animals move and breathe, plants at high altitudes face an even more static, yet profound challenge. Rooted to the ground, they must endure not only low oxygen, but also intense UV radiation, strong winds, dramatic temperature swings between day and night, and often nutrient-poor soils. Yet, the mountains are adorned with a surprisingly diverse and resilient flora. Consider the Andean plants, such as the tough cushion plants or the strikingly beautiful Puya raymondii. They are masters of clinging to the crags. One common adaptation is a compact, low-growing form, often appearing as dense, flattened mats or cushions. This growth habit reduces exposure to strong winds, which can increase water loss and cause physical damage. It also helps to trap a layer of warmer, more humid air directly around the plant, providing a vital microclimate against the cold and dry winds. Imagine a tiny, self-made greenhouse close to the ground. Many high-altitude plants also develop thick, waxy cuticles or hairy leaves. These features act as protective shields. The waxy layer reduces water loss through evaporation, crucial in windy, dry conditions. The dense hairs can reflect harmful UV radiation, reduce water loss, and provide additional insulation. For example, the wool on the stems of some high-altitude Espalicia species in the Andes, often called frailjones, helps them survive the nightly frosts. Their root systems are often extensive and well-developed, allowing them to anchor firmly in shallow, rocky soils and efficiently seek out what little water and nutrients are available. Some also produce special compounds like anthocyanins, which act as natural sunscreens against the intense UV light. These silent, rooted inhabitants of the high places are a testament to the quiet tenacity of plant life, patiently enduring the harshness of the elements, and in doing so, adding a subtle, enduring beauty to the mountain crags. Having explored the fiery peaks, the frozen poles, and the crushing depths of the ocean, let us now turn our gaze, or rather, our imagination, downwards. We are descending into a world of perpetual darkness, unyielding rock, and profound quiet, the subterranean silence. This is the realm beneath our feet, the vast network of caves, underground rivers, and deep rock formations that make up the Earth's hidden interior. This environment presents a unique set of challenges. Firstly, there is absolute darkness. Sunlight, the primary energy source for most life on the surface, simply does not penetrate here. Secondly, Food sources are incredibly scarce and often arrive only as trickle-down organic matter from the surface or are generated by entirely different processes. Thirdly, the environment can be remarkably stable in terms of temperature and humidity, but also highly isolated, leading to unique evolutionary pathways. Lastly, depending on depth, there can be significant pressure from the overlying rock, and the chemical composition of the water can be unusual, influenced by minerals. Yet, this hidden world is far from lifeless. It hums with its own forms of unique, specialized life. Creatures and microbes perfectly adapted to an existence without light and often without direct connection to the surface world. It's a realm of patient waiting, of sensory adaptation to touch and sound rather than sight, and of remarkable chemical ingenuity. The subterranean silence is a profound reminder that life finds a way, even when completely cut off from the sun's warm embrace, existing in a slow, almost dreaming state beneath the bustling surface. Just as we found chemosynthesis supporting life in the deep ocean vents, a similar, equally astonishing process powers the ecosystems deep within the Earth's crust. Here, in the profound darkness of subterranean environments, sunlight is entirely absent, so photosynthetic life is impossible. Instead, life relies on chemoautotrophs, the deep Earth's hidden alchemists. These are microorganisms, primarily bacteria and archaea, that obtain their energy not from light, but from chemical reactions involving inorganic compounds found in rocks and groundwater. For example, some chemoautotrophs might get energy by oxidizing iron, sulfur, hydrogen, or ammonia. They then use this chemical energy to fix carbon dioxide and produce organic matter, much like plants do with sunlight, but with a completely different energy source. These deep subsurface microbial communities are incredibly widespread. They exist in fractured rock deep underground, in aquifers, and within ancient, isolated pockets of water that have been cut off from the surface for millions of years. Some estimates suggest that the total biomass of these subsurface microbes might even exceed that of all life on the surface. They form the very base of their unique food webs, supporting simple ecosystems of other microorganisms. This means that entire microbial communities can exist completely independent of the sun's energy, drawing all their sustenance from the geological processes of our own planet. This discovery revolutionized our understanding of Earth's biosphere, revealing a vast, unseen realm of life that operates on entirely different principles. The chemoautotrophs are a silent, constant process of chemical transformation, a profound whisper that the Earth itself holds boundless energy for life, even in its most hidden, ancient corners. They are a true testament to life's fundamental ingenuity. Emerging from the deep rock, let us gently consider the animals that call caves their home. The remarkable cave dwellers, or troglobites. These are creatures that spend their entire lives in the perpetual darkness of underground caverns, having evolved profound adaptations to this unique, lightless world. Their existence is one of quiet sensory reorientation, a life of echoes in the dark. One of the most striking adaptations is the loss of vision and often pigmentation. Eyes, being useless in absolute darkness, tend to reduce in size, sometimes becoming vestigial or disappearing entirely. Similarly, the vibrant colors that adorn surface animals, serving purposes like camouflage or mate attraction, are no longer necessary. So, many cave dwellers are pale, translucent, or albino, like the famous olm, a blind salamander found in European caves, which has pale pink skin and feathery red gills. To compensate for the lack of sight, cave dwellers develop exaggerated senses of touch, hearing, and smell. Their bodies are often covered in highly sensitive sensory organs, like long antennae, specialized hairs, or lateral lines that detect subtle water vibrations. Think of a blind cave fish navigating its world not by sight, but by feeling the slightest disturbances in the water around it, a continuous, silent sonar. Their sense of smell can be incredibly acute, allowing them to locate scarce food sources or mates in a vast darkness. Their metabolism is also often slower, reflecting the scarcity of food and the stable, cool temperatures. This allows them to survive long periods without eating. Reproduction rates can also be slow and lifespans unusually long. These adaptations reflect a deep commitment to conserving energy and patiently enduring. Cave dwellers are a quiet reflection of life's ability to repurpose its senses, to find beauty and purpose in a world defined by its eternal shadow, listening for the faint echoes of existence. Our quiet journey now leads us to an extreme that is often unseen, yet ever present, a challenge that operates at the very molecular core of life. We're talking about radiation. When we think of radiation, our minds often jump to dramatic, catastrophic events. But radiation is a natural part of our planet. It emanates from the Earth's rocks, from cosmic rays filtering through our atmosphere, and from the sun. This natural radiation is generally at low, tolerable levels. However, in certain environments, either naturally occurring or from specific events, radiation levels can be significantly higher, posing an invisible, yet profound, challenge to life. Radiation, specifically ionizing radiation, can cause damage to the fundamental building blocks of life. It can break chemical bonds, particularly in DNA, the very blueprint of an organism. If DNA is damaged, cells cannot function correctly, mutations can accumulate, and ultimately, the organism may die or develop serious health issues. It's a silent assault on the genetic code, an invisible force that attempts to unravel life's intricate instructions. Yet, even in environments with elevated radiation levels, life persists. These are not places we might typically associate with flourishing ecosystems, but they exist. From certain mineral-rich soils to areas near natural nuclear reactors, like the ancient Oklo reactor in Gabon, or even environments contaminated by human activity. The adaptations to radiation are often subtle and microscopic, focusing on defense and repair at the cellular level. This is a quiet battle against molecular disruption, a testament to life's profound ability to protect its most sacred information. When discussing life's resilience to radiation, one organism stands head and shoulders above all others, a true biological anomaly. This is Deinococcus radiodurans, often referred to as the world's most radiation-resistant organism. This bacterium can withstand doses of radiation thousands of times higher than what would be lethal to humans or most other forms of life. For perspective, a dose of 5 to 10 grays, GY, can be fatal to humans, while Deinococcus radiodurans can survive acute doses of 5,000 to 15,000 grays and even higher doses of chronic radiation. It can even survive extreme cold, dehydration, vacuum, and acid. Its incredible resilience is not because it avoids DNA damage. It actually does experience severe DNA damage, with its genome shattering into dozens or even hundreds of pieces. The secret lies in its truly extraordinary DNA repair mechanisms. Imagine the blueprint of life being torn into tiny fragments, and this organism having an incredibly efficient, rapid, and precise team of tiny molecular repair crews that can quickly reassemble those fragments into the correct, functional order. It's like having a superpowered internal reconstruction squad. Scientists are still unraveling all the specifics, but it's known that Deinococcus radiodurans has multiple copies of its genome, providing redundant information for repair. It also has highly efficient enzymatic systems that identify, remove, and replace damaged sections of DNA and robust cellular machinery to piece together the shattered chromosomes accurately. This process is so efficient that it can repair massive damage within a matter of hours. This tiny bacterium is a silent marvel of biological repair. Its existence demonstrates that life can evolve not just to avoid damage, but to astonishingly recover from it, even when facing forces that would completely dismantle most other forms of existence. Deinococcus radiodurans is a living blueprint of molecular endurance, a profound whisper of life's relentless ability to put itself back together. As we reflect on these incredible adaptations, it becomes clear that much of the unseen work of survival, especially in the most extreme places, is performed by the smallest of life forms, the microbes. Often, these microbes don't just exist as isolated individuals. They form complex, interacting communities known as microbiomes. These microbial communities are the quiet, unsung heroes of extreme environments. Whether it's the chemosynthetic bacteria at deep-sea vents, the halophiles in salt flats, the acidophiles in hot springs, or the endolithic bacteria clinging to life inside dry desert rocks. These microbial consortia are the foundational layers of many extreme ecosystems. They're the primary producers, the recyclers, and often the only life capable of unlocking the energy and nutrients from these challenging environments. The resilience of microbiomes lies in their sheer diversity and their collective adaptability. A community might contain different species that can each handle slightly different stresses or work together to buffer environmental fluctuations. They can share resources, detoxify harmful compounds, and collectively withstand conditions that no single organism could. For example, in a hot spring, a microbial mat might have layers of different bacteria and archaea, each thriving at a slightly different temperature or pH gradient within the mat. Their rapid reproductive rates also allow them to quickly adapt and evolve in response to changing conditions. This constant, quiet hum of microbial activity, often unseen and unappreciated by our eyes, is the very engine of survival in many extreme places. The resilience of microbiomes is a powerful reminder that life's strength often lies not in individual grandeur, but in the collective, intricate workings of countless tiny, tenacious beings. They are the silent, microscopic architects of persistence. As we slowly approach the end of our exploration of life in extreme environments, it's important to quietly consider a profound underlying truth: the interconnectedness of all life, even in these specialized corners of the earth. While we have focused on individual adaptations to specific challenges, the camel's water wisdom, the tubeworm's chemosynthesis, the tardigrade's uncanny resilience, none of these exist in isolation. Even in the harshest places, life forms part of an intricate, often delicate balance. The ice algae, though microscopic, form the crucial base of the food web in polar seas, providing sustenance for krill, which in turn feed whales and seals. The chemosynthetic bacteria in deep-sea vents create the primary energy source that allows entire communities of tubeworms, clams, and crabs to flourish. The resilient microbes living within rocks in the Atacama Desert are slowly, patiently, altering the very chemistry of their environment, creating conditions that might one day allow other forms of life to gain a foothold. Every creature, every plant, every microbe plays a role, however small or seemingly isolated. The flow of energy, the cycling of nutrients, the intricate relationships between predator and prey, symbiont and host. These fundamental principles of ecology still apply, even when stretched to their limits by environmental pressures. It's a vast, silent web, each thread contributing to the overall strength and persistence of the system. This delicate balance, this quiet dependence of one life form upon another, underscores the profound unity of Earth's biosphere, even across the most extreme divides. It reminds us that no life truly survives alone. It is always part of a larger, subtle, interconnected whole. What do these incredible stories of survival in the extreme teach us? Beyond the fascinating science of antifreeze proteins or chemosynthesis, there is a deeper, more profound lesson to be found in the quiet persistence of these organisms. They teach us about endurance. They show us that life, at its core, is not easily deterred. Faced with overwhelming heat, crushing pressure, absolute darkness, or the profound absence of water, it does not simply give up. Instead, it finds a way. It adapts. It innovates. It transforms itself subtly, patiently, over countless generations, until what once seemed impossible becomes simply how things are. The seemingly fragile cell, the tiny seed, the slow-moving organism, each holds within it an astonishing capacity for tenacity. They teach us about ingenuity. Not ingenuity in the human sense of conscious design, but the deep, evolutionary ingenuity of nature itself. The clever repurposing of molecules, the intricate fine-tuning of physiological processes, the behavioral shifts that unlock new possibilities. It's a silent, biological brilliance that operates without fanfare, constantly finding new solutions to ancient problems. And, perhaps most importantly, they teach us about perspective. In our own lives, when we face challenges, we can look to these quiet survivors. Their existence is a powerful reminder that limitations are often just invitations for new forms of adaptation. That even the most seemingly barren or hostile places, there is hidden vitality. The sheer tenacity of life on Earth is a continuous, gentle whisper of hope and possibility. It assures us that life, in all its myriad forms, is profoundly resilient, always seeking, always finding, always persisting. And so, we bring our quiet exploration to an end. We have drifted through deserts of silent sands, navigated the frozen stillness of polar realms, descended into the crushing darkness of the deep ocean, touched the fiery breath of volcanoes, and peered into the hidden, lightless world beneath our feet. We have witnessed the ingenious molecular defenses, the profound physiological shifts, and the simple yet effective behavioral changes that allow life to not just survive, but to truly flourish in the most challenging corners of our planet. The stories of these resilient inhabitants are not just about science. They are about wonder. They are about the quiet, unwavering spirit of life itself. We hope this gentle journey has left you with a sense of calm, awe, a deeper appreciation for the subtle, yet powerful forces that shape the living world around us. Thank you for joining us on The Dreamy Doctor. Until our next quiet journey, may your own moments be filled with calm and discovery.